go ahead and turn snap to grid on here at the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and just select right here. And I'm going to go like this across, and I'm going to create my frame. So here's my frame. I noticed that the stamp stroke is a little small, so I'll make it a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, so that way you can really see it. And then I might go over to this cog right here in the advanced, and then go over to caps, path ending, and then go to nodes. Oop, doesn't look like they show up on the nodes, my mistake. So we'll go ahead and undo that. Let's go ahead and use a particular stamp from Fantasy World Style. We're already in the Fantasy World Style. There should be, actually, let me check. It might be in Watercolors Battle Maps. Let me check real quick. There's this piece that I like to use for it. Let me see if I can find it. There it is right here. This gold railing. I'm going to go ahead and use these as corner pieces. I'm just going to place one down for now and just make sure that I have around the same kind of color consistency. I'll boost the saturation up a little bit, and I might bring the contrast down because the line work is a little bit different. And then let's also turn the shadow off. I don't really need that. We'll bring the brightness up. And now I can just copy and paste that into each corner. And you'll notice that the corners kind of, they look a little odd right here. And so I'm using these little corner pieces to hide that. It's a kind of a way of cheating, but it's something that artists do a lot when they're putting stuff together. Is there's something that's wrong, you can always just hide it. It's a nice little workaround that you can do. And then what I'll end up doing here is I'll select the whole thing, and then I'll just press create group. I believe you can also press the G key, and we're going to name it frame. We're going to create, and then after that, what I'll do is I'm going to lock it. I'll put it on layer +5 at the very, very top. I'm going to Alt lock so that way I don't accidentally select it. And then I'm going to take the add mode of the mask tool with the grid option. And then I'm going to go with the add mode of the mask tool on this edges here. And that way I can paint the frame part on the outside an entirely different color, or paint it separately on a separate layer and not accidentally start painting the inside of the frame, right? Now I have mask effects turned on. I generally will turn these off because mask effects can be a little taxing on your device, especially if you have a lower end machine. It's not as powerful. And these mask effects generally seem to kind of be a little heavy on your device. So just go ahead and make sure to turn that off. What I'll do next is pick a texture that I want to use for my outside of my frame. And what I'll end up doing for this is I'll try to find a color that contrasts well. So I'm going to use this yellow color right here, set it to foreground layer, and I can just go to fill like this, and it will fill that entire thing up. Perfect. Now I have a nice frame set up. Pretty easy stuff. Yet frames are super easy to do, Santonero. Super easy. So I'm also going to open up the frame again and turn off the shadow, as I don't really need the shadow. Oopsie, I accidentally messed with the stroke size. Go over here, turn shadow off. There we go. I don't want that on. And I'm going to turn the grid off as I no longer need it. So now you see I kind of have it put together. And then since we picked an undead type of place, City of the Dead, let's go ahead and pick a texture that we want to use to represent the ground. So I think what I'll go with is, let's see here. Let's go ahead and use this one right here, this brown barren rock. And then what I might end up doing here is just desaturating it a little bit, so it's a little bit grayer, bringing the brightness down, and then bringing the contrast up a little bit so I can get those effects. Let's also change the scale a little bit. There we go. And then I'll just go to BG layer and